What's up, champions? It's your boy Lamin Africa here, and welcome to another brand new episode of Jaba Pod. We apologize for wasting your time because tulisema in 10 na sasa tume make a lot of time, to make us a lot of time, so we apologize for that. Leo Adibibi bado ako in the production room, so he'll be joining us, and Kenaz pia ako in the behind the scene now.
But currently
we move 2010. Why?
My mom work.
She moved her work.
Yeah, she moved into her work, her profession. So with her, she moves in and out a lot. So she got a permanent employment with this other side. So we had to relocate for convenience.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Siblings, mko watu wangapi kwenu? Nataka tukujue kwanza before we even
we are a big family. I have my stepsister and brother. But in our home, kwetu we are 5. 4 girls, 1 boy. But I would say that we are 6 girls. We are 5 girls, sorry, with 2 boys. So 1 girl is.
Oh, you have a step family?
Yes.
You have a stepdad or stepmom?
Stepmom.
Stepmom.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Buddha alicheza kama yeye.
Kabisa.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bigger family. Nafikiriaga kila, like, this big families mtu anafawe maybe another 10 siblings or something, when because 5 huku 5 kule, another maybe 2 kwingine, it's a big family. So kwa nyumba yenu ni watano?
Yeah.
4 no watano?
We are 5.
5.
Yes.
4 ladies, 1
boy.
And then the next so your mom is like the second or the first?
My mom is the first one.
The first. Okay, that is nice. So umesomea wapi?
Well, I've gone to a lot of schools, but I'll just mention a few. Before we relocated, nilikuwa nasoma shule nyingine ilikuwa inaitwa St. Francis International. Yeah, it was an international school, basically sponsored by the British. And then
Iko Rongo?
Yeah, it was in Rongo, but ilifungwa shortly after we relocated.
Yeah.
And then since tulihama huku in the middle of the term, ilibidi, how do I put this? We had to go to a school to get our term list. Is it certificate? Should I say that? No, report cards, yeah? So, because shule nilitoka, report cards were not really necessary, because by then, with British schools, basically it's all about the activities and your participation, like more or less like the CBC right now. So by then, let me say for me, maybe nilisoma in a CBC system as I was young, and then when I came here, I had to go to Surrey Primary to get that report card to go to another school. And then from Surrey, I went to St. Benedict.
So,
okay.
Nisema international school, right?
Yeah.
So umezaliwa, you born, and then you went to the international school?
Yeah.
Right from kindergarten, and then so ilikuwa system yetu tu, but ni CBC class 1, 2, 3, but on a CBC way, okay?
On a CBC way.
And then umetoka Rongo at class?
At grade 3.
Yeah, grade 3.
Yeah.
Then you went to Surrey to get a report card. So ulikuwa Surrey for like a month, a week,
basically it was less than a term. Yeah, because tulikuja huku almost kama wanafunga shule, so we just had to sit for the end term exams.
You didn't have a problem with the transition, because it's like coming from Nairobi and then unaenda kuishi Meru. You've just come from the city.
Actually, it was a problem.
Talk to us about it. International school to Surrey.
Public school. It was
gender private.
Yeah, it was a challenge. Basically, with us, when we were growing up, our dad was very strict with us. You had to speak English all through. So with us, we grew up not speaking vernacular, Kijaluo. So on coming to this other side, you meet a group whereby shule watu wanaongea tu Kijaluo. So you have to adapt to the environment. And then when you look at the teaching system also, it was also very very unique to us, since when you umetoka in a school that is very different than coming to a public school, to the Kenyan government education system, and you're like, wow, how do I start this?
Locker, right? Probably it was a locker to a desk.
Yes. Actually, they led us straight, and it's very hard, and for us it was a bit comfy. As we were growing up, the school, it was a bit comfy and very comfortable. And then we come here, no meals, no anything, and then the teachers are equally, like, they just don't really put that much care into the learners and all that. And by then you are very used to interacting with the teachers at a very close level. Now in this case, since it's almost end term, unapata watoto wanacheza tu, and you're like, yo, what's really going on? And like the other time, most of the times you are engaged in a lot of activities. So it was a challenge, especially the language. It was a big challenge before we got to learn.
You're not a challenge, because I remember mimi nitoka St. Benedict at class 5. Nitoka semena class 5 nikaenda Imperial. It was such a Imperial was not even like an international school, but it was just shule yenye wazungu and waindi and everybody was there, and I can imagine just going there and fitting in ilikuwa ni shida kwangu, because now it's the same curriculum, but how they treat people, how they teach you, the meals, because we were boarding there, and it was just on an ilinipa exposure ingine enormous sana, and it was just on another new level. So na imagine kutoka pale from there to Sare primary, you sasa hata you had to adapt very fast.
To, because when the environment changes, you also have to change with it. So you can't be rigid at the same time. And then with the kid, you're also curious on learning various new things. So we are also curious and interested. Where are these kids? Mbona wanaongea hivi? You see, we are really interested to know your Kijaluo, and you're also interested to learn the ways of
Kijaluo.
I didn't know Kijaluo.
Oh yeah, English. So
with my dad, actually up to now, sometimes when you are in a conversation with my dad, I remember there's a time back in campus. My dad calls, and with him, I pick up with the English. So by the time we are hanging up, and they're like, ulikuwa unaongea na nani? I'm like, ulikuwa unaongea na babangu. And they're like, you mean babako anazungumza kizungu? I'm like, yeah. So the big deal with that, because for us we are used to it. So we grew up in that environment, and somehow up to now we are still adapted to that environment.
Yeah. But there's this proverb, I don't know if it's a proverb or just a saying by Ngugi wa Thiong'o. Anasema if a child is still being trained, not in their local dialect, in their language, that's still neo-colonialism. Do you concur now that you know both sides of the coin now?
Yeah.
So
actually I do concur somehow. Because when we live in that, let me say, the British system and all that, when you're in English purely, to say like me ni Jaluo. So when I'm growing up, I don't know anything to do with Kijaluo. And at the same time, that culture, I lack that culture that you grow up with. So when you go back to these kids who are basically our watoto wenye wame grow in that culture, the cultural environment, na umeingia hapo when ni kizungu tu, when ni Kiswahili tu, you'll be lost so much. And then we tell somebody that I'm a Luo, nobody believes that. So we tend to lose that cultural effect in us as the Luos as we grow up in that kind of environment. So it's not really that healthy. Yeah.
So you now you are grown up and maybe
Buddha atakuwa na uchishi anasema cheki. Yaani na kutoa Kijaluo na kupeleka hapo Gongozo na wewe pia huko.
Sasa unanipinga.
Buddha si wa ghetto, Buddha ni wa English. So my dude, I've done it all to you, and you just
I trained you to be this.
But you told me you were telling Kenyans on the interview that come on, I was giving the best. No,
actually I really appreciate what my dad did to me, because I would have not been this eloquent right now. At the same time, I would have not been this confident speaking in English or even speaking to the public. So I really appreciate what my dad did to me at that point.
Yeah, my point. Yes. I know you appreciate.
It's nice. It was a nice thing.
It's a nice experience.
Yeah.
It's a nice experience, but Mzayangopeleka ocha sometime show
by the
me pia for real me pia siku experience hiyo na my parents. My parents I appreciated kunipeleka shule kubwa na blah blah, and I really respect them and I appreciate that because I'm exposed and I can speak in English this fluently because of them, because of the schools I attended and whatever. But to the roots, the only time I was in my roots ni time nilitoka from Saugongo kuja Gamba mixed because of them, the same parents. Hiyo ndo time nilianza kwenda ta ushago. So mimi hapo na feel like budangu, our parents, I think they could have just given us the life that they wanted, because everybody wants a good life for their kids. Mimi pia nataka tu mtoto wangu kusomea hizo mashule kubwa because I just want a better life for them, for my kids. But then I won't let him or her forget the roots. So nitakuwa nampeleka kwa shosh fulani and to aone venye si pia tukua tumegrow, because I had to learn it the hard way. Sai I don't know most of my relatives, I don't know most of the Luo vernacular words. Sijui hadi wa leo. People don't look at me like a real Luo. When I go somewhere, that Luo in me doesn't come out fast. So but unajua kuna wengine wenye it's just natural. Unaenda tu kwa ofisi fulani na yeye ama tu anywhere you just discussing anything, maybe politics. Unaona tu watu washajua wenyewe ni Mjaluo from the way he talks, from the way, lakini wewe buda wewe pia ulikuwa Mjaluo, mtu akikusikia ukiongea Kijolendo kumbe pia ni Mjaluo. So mimi nimekuwa robbed of that ethnicity young yanafaa iwe naturally. So I think maparo yes walikuwa wanataka tuwe watu wengine wanoma, but naona sisi tusifanye the same mistakes. Sisi to make sure tumewapelekea, lakini sasa wewe unajua sasa yuko na mtu wenu upeleke buda pia bado utakuwa umepelekea tu msewa
atakuwa na
so utapelekea
because it's a very touchy. Mkataze hii sasa hii akuje kimtoto aingie hapa atakuwa anataka kushika extension. Please don't touch that. Aingie kwa camera. Don't touch that. Yani mtoto is ever exploring things. Now that you're grown and in 1 or 2 years time you've been selling kids.
1 or 2 years tutafikia hapo patsawa.
When one day you produce beautiful kids,
like mzeniva na mzeniembe. One day you produce.
Will you be adapt culture of your dad ama you take it to the other route yenye mimi nilipewa? Mimi nimejua kizungu just the other day. Utamleta my way ama your dad's way?
I'll adapt my dad's way and also this other way. Because basically, honestly, when you look at this in a different way, somehow this other way was more advantageous. Because angalia hata wewe saizi ukienda ushago, look at the difference between you and that kid mwenye grow up ushago. First of all, the moment umeanza kuongea hivi, they're already intimidated. They're like, what's going on? And then now when they also speak, wewe umepotea kabisa, especially wakiingia kwa zile Kijaluya ndani you see utakuwa umepotea kabisa. So I'll also really want my kids to appreciate this cultural Luo thing and all that, at the same time I also want them to be westernized, you see, because the world is evolving, time is evolving, and utabaki tu umekwama pale kwa ile time ya we want our kids to remember the roots, so lazima tu wakue hapo. I'll adapt both sides, at least ajue this is my roots and I come from here and I appreciate this culture.
So let's say one day you marry. If I don't marry you, you marry a Kisi or maybe a Kamba.
Sawa. Nisha accept niko na wewe hapa, so nitadu.
Sasa ni culture gani will they be learning both the Kamba culture and the Luo culture? Sasa the daddy from the Kamba side you guys will be.
Yeah, by the way, that's a.
Ni gani utapea?
That's a good one.
Uzito yani.
Mine are very territorial. To start with. Be it a Luo, be it sijui nani, be it a Kama, be it mzungu, be it a who. Lazima ata make sure ni soji. Lazima ata make sure mtoto amejua ile lugha yake.
Yeah.
So at this, I will not really fight that cultural issue with the ethnicity thing. I will not fight it with my husband. If at all I get married to somebody who is not a Luo. Kama ni Mkamba, it's okay. Let my kid learn that culture. And then let my kid also know that, Sisi, my mom is a Luo, my dad is a Kamba. So let him or her learn that culture at the same time akuja jue you Uluo somehow. So at least akue atajua both sides. Yeah, ajue the Western. Actually, the Western will be more dominating in this.
Tena ajue Kiswahili pia.
Exactly. Yeah. And if possible, as many other languages and other cultures, they are supposed to be known. They can know, not even supposed. Because if I say suppose, it's like I'll be enforcing them to do something that. So I let them have that freedom to themselves. Let them learn as much as possible. Let them gain that knowledge as much as possible and as much as they can.
But utataka identify na culture gani?
Ama Kamba.
Yeah, mume wangu ni ata identify nayo.
Is it like, okay, is it something that you say because of, okay, so ama ni ile you perfectly know and you accept that?
I perfectly know that. The moment I'm married, I'm no longer, I'm a lady.
Yeah.
The moment nimeolewa, I do not belong to my family. I belong to my husband's family. And those kids wakizaliwa nisaidia mume wangu, not my maternal home. No. So definitely there'll be
maneno. Yani ungekuwa dibezi ningekugotea lakini sasa wewe si yeye lakini
your wife material.
Yeah. Sasa inakam naturally.
Yeah.
Inakam naturally. Your point when we being out, it shows a lot, it speaks a lot about so viewers when here's someone manze when anajua. I'm telling you the truth, women, most of them can't say what you just said because people say there's a lot of just this identity going on and the story now. Feminism and there's just a lot going on sahi. Most of the ladies nimeuliza swali kama hiyo huwa like Santa do. So like I want it but the society is just that way, but kama kuna veneza hepa hiyo shit
tena nasema hiyo fucked up man,
that is so fucked up. Kama kuna veneza hepa, but to just accept the way things are.
Basically, let me interrupt a bit. That is where that ethnicity and cultural beliefs comes in.
Yeah.
Now, us growing up naturally, I've grown up with a mother who is very strict and a mother who really knows that. Actually, I've grown up the cultural way, I've grown up the biblical way, and I've equally grown up the westernized way. So my mom, she would always incorporate all of these things into teaching us. At the same time, when you grow up, you look at how people, how your neighbors, how your parents, how your family itself is, and then also how your friends live, and you're like, this is the way. And then when you come and look at the teachings you've been having when you're growing up, you see those guidelines as you should I say the guidelines or what? Let me just say the guides. As you grow up, they bring a lot of impact to you as a person. But then at one point now, it's you to choose. Should I believe in this? Should I continue to? Should I say this? Should I stay rooted to this kind of belief? So it's upon an individual. So for me, once actually somebody would only talk of I cannot do this until it happens to them.
Yeah.
The moment you get married as a woman, that is when you'll know that I have to be submissive in one way. And the moment you marry as a man, you know that you also have to be submissive to your wife in one way. But the point that remains is always that the man himself is always the dominating one. So no matter what I do as a woman, naona tunamigangwa nyinyi ni mali nyumbani. At one point you will do what? You will go, tunaitwa migogo. So as migogo we know that at one point tutafanyaje? Tutatoka na ukitoka wewe si wa mama yako. Tunaambiwa kwa kila siku, wewe si wa mama yako. You will be your husband's what? So some things don't really, as much as we do put them in, but they don't really make sense. At one point when you come and sit down, the viewers musinipige mawe tafadhali, but it's only making sense.
We'll be here to protect.
Yeah. You know.
You're speaking facts. So
yeah. So.
About to pingi, you know. So talk to us. Just let's go back to your transition. So ulitoka huko. How was your experience? Tuanze na experience yako na kwa St. Francis and then tukuje kwa Sare, then to your new school St. Benedict.
How?
Difference ni gani?
There was a big difference. Starting with the activities in school, that kind of environment in school, the relationship with the teachers, the relationship with the students themselves.
Yeah.
It was so amazing at that point. And you are also exposed to a lot of things. Like, by then I remember technology had not really evolved at this far. Yeah. But then, that's the point where you can be able to see the cell phones and all that. Unaona wazungu wanakuja nazo, the tablets, and you're like, ini, and then we like, you know, they'll be telling you what these ones are and even show you how to use them. And then when you come back to art, you know, for us by then, a lot of things were involved with artistic things. So, molding and all that. And then now I come back to a public school. Watoto wako class, watu wanaongea Kijaluo, wewe uko hapo umezuba, you're like, what are people saying? And then, you know, when you culture ya huku, let me not say culture ya huku, actually culture ya huku, because I was now transitioning. Yeah. By then, third term, watu wanataka kufanya end term.
You sasa Sare ama?
Yes, now I'm in Sare primary. Me and my sisters tumekuja hapa. So by then my brother was already way old, yako boarding, same to my sister. My dad was also away due to work purposes, so tuko huku na mom too. So we're in school. Yes, I'm excited. At the same time, I'm not really excited. I'm like,
you're excited?
I'm excited to experience a new environment. You know, as a kid, I'm also curious to learn.
Yeah.
But then I'm also like, how am I going to start all this?
You don't know how tough it is.
I don't know how tough it will be. And trust to me, it proved to be tough. So I go to class. The first thing that hits me hard is the classroom itself. It's not as developed as the other one. And you're like, hey, niko happy. And then look at the learners. The uniforms. Some are okay because vidole zote hazitoshani. Yeah, so you see you like pale kwingine, most of it, I'm not saying that I'm from a rich family. No. Most of the people in that school, they had parents who were really financially stable. So
why are you being humble about it?
I have to be, because that was a way, like an eye-opener for me.
That was an experience. So.
Yes. So I come to school, you meet people from different backgrounds. Some are wearing tattered uniforms, some are wearing brand new uniforms, some are like, and then you're here, and you're like, niko wapi? You see? And that one hits you hard and you're like, now I'm really facing a different kind of environment.
Now you're in the world now.
Now I'm in the world itself.
Where you see.
Yeah. So, and then you also meet people who are really rough. Mtu anakuambia mimi nitakupiga na anakupiga ukweli. And then, you know, as growing up, me never used to bend to people. No. I was always a cop and friend. You tell me I'll beat you, I'm like, I'll beat you back. So, you know, as growing up, though we were taught not to be violent, but somehow me grew up with my fist, you see. So with that, people wanacheza, watu wanacheza tu. Some are like, tuko karibu kufanya mtihani, nikumbuka nakwambia na Kijaluo ndio like, you don't understand. Yes, and you don't understand anything. And somebody is like, you know, exam ya saizi, penji masani tech, and you're like, what do you mean penji masani tech, considering you're always a top scorer? So we're like, how am I going to? And then, you know, people fall over you, people crowd around you, and people are like, mbona mtoto anaongea English hivi? And you're like, this is so awkward. And me being somebody who didn't really like crowds, it was a big challenge for me. So, but nonetheless, we adapted. From Sare, we went to St. Benedict's. From St. Benedict's, now you are being told, you know.
So you took a report form?
Yes, you took a report
performed,
form. I was number 3.
Oh, you jaribu best.
Yeah, I was number 3. Number 2, number 3.
Don't expect you number 1, mazi. Umetoka from, come on.
So, yeah, to kind of St. Benedict's. Right. That was also another challenge itself. Performance was very competitive.
Not St. Benedict.
And then considering my mom being a leader, walimu wanajua huyu mama Madam Bosco, and they're like, you know, people really have high expectations of you. The bar has already been raised and people expect you to reach that level. Unakuja hapo unapata watu wenye are top scorers, so ile yako ndio unaona ile ilikuwa mchezo. Now you really need to focus on your books. So
you in St. Benedict which year?
I don't remember the year, but it was in class 6.
I remember 2010.
Class 6 really?
2010 you guys were already in St. Benedict.
No. Tulianza na Sari Primary ndio tukaenda St. Benedict.
2010 I remember nilikuwa Suzana. Then nikitoka Suzana hivi ili sijui ilikuwa inakuwa coincidence gani. Kulikuwa na njia nyingine hapa njia ya St. Benedict. Njia nyuma ya Skyways. So nilikuwa natokea hapo nyuma, nyinyi pia nakutana na nyinyi mkitoka Benedict. Tunakutana hapo, Joy ananisalimia. So Joy alikuwa ananisalimia most of the time na akismile vizuri.
I get it. Tumejua point yote get tumechukua hapo ni akismile vizuri. So and then we come back.
I used to be very grumpy. Yeah.
And then a friend of mine used to mock me. You're gonna miss my maneno boy na. Kuna kitu hapo. So that's why nakumbuka hiyo nini, because my friend Hillary used to mock me.
So you in St. Benedict in 2010?
Yeah, I remember 2010.
2010 hata mimi nilikuwa St. Benedict, I think.
In class 6, the likes of akina Joybila, tulikuwa na kina Joybila.
Yeah, I was nilikuwa na Joybila.
And then I remember we were with you in grade 8.
Yeah, I think so, because maybe I remember you in Sony, but I don't remember in St. Benedict.
I was there. Tulikuwa in the same stream with Joybila, with akina Tony, akina Max. Those are my classmates.
Those are my classmates too.
They were in the same stream.
How comes I don't even for real?
I don't even have a recollection of him being in St. Benedict.
Yeah, because I think uliingia nikitoka. Yeah, because class class 6 nilitoka. Nilingatuta mwana hivi I took like some a month and then nikatoka tu hapo nikaenda sasa kuendeleza.
So mimi nimeingia kwa class 6.
So yeah, atunge joana your time. Yeah, but the same classmates for my
Class 7 we went to Sony Primary. Hapo ndio unaambiwa ati for you to get a good high school lazima uende to a public school, because private schools utarushwa anywhere. So remember transitioning from international to public, from public to private, from private to public
again.
So we go to Sony Primary. Hapa pia it gave me another big challenge. Nafika niko na mabullies wengi hapa. And you know, being me a mother hen, I'm very protective of my siblings. So naingia Sony Primary, and I remember there's a guy, I literally beat up this guy, by the way. You know, you are this chick umeingia shule. Actually tulipelekwa North, all the newcomers tulipelekwa North. So North we were all types of people. Kuna ma rich kids, kuna ma cool kids, kuna wale wanatoka on the humble backgrounds, and then you know, with me now people actually up to now I still find that challenge. People literally associate me with the cool kid vibe. So tunaingia, and then I don't know, this guy alikuwa anaitwa Rayvanny. He was a footballer in primary by then. So naingia shule and they spot me. Nimesahau alikuwa South for him. No, alikuwa 7 East, I remember. So I don't remember his name clearly. No, alikuwa yeye. Alikuwa anacheza hata football by then. So this guy was in the football club. So I got it. And then jana kuna nataka kukati, and then by then I was so resistant to this idea of boys coming close to me, and then I was equally a tomboy. I was boyish. So this guy comes, and then he's so rowdy and all that. Kijana nitakupiga, and then he's like, unaongea na nani hiyo? And I grab him. By then nilimpiga ngumi. Tulikuwa tunatoka shule tunaenda nyumbani in the evening.
So ulimpiga tu ngumi.
By then nilimpiga huyo kijana, si kutoka mbio unaenda.
Ngumi na hizi mkono, ngumi tu.
As tiny as they are.
Ni ngumu ulidara ukidara. Acha story. Ulidara. Anaangalia ngumi kwa wapi? Ngumi kwa wapi?
So anyway, he wanted to fight back and I kick him again and he fought.
Trust
me.
Jaribu kuangalia hiyo
I actually don't really remember.
You don't remember.
But I remember him falling down. Actually he wanted to fight back. Literally wanted to fight back.
Kuna vitu zingine una.
So una assume anyways, but
jamani unaanza
but we kudaradara tu as a teen utaki ule mtu anakushinda nguvu, you're like let me fight back. Kwa nini kwani si ni dem tu, you see?
So yes, somebody tu kuna kujua kama mtu ametulia tu.
Actually nilikuwa nimetulia, but ukifanyanga my wrong side I'll also be there. So anyways
tunaambiwa ati upige dema ati uende ujigambe ati umepiga mtu. Hiyo hakuna mtu mwingine.
I think hiyo African society hapo na wamefunza mambo nzuri sana.
Sikia wenye
sana unampea tu slap moja anafanya kitu hivi na hakuna mambo ya kupigana.
Sikia wenye kena sana isema.
It's
Gambe umepiga. Hakuna mwenye.
Gana wanaume wenzako jamani, si ndio.
Hata msichana mwenyewe atakwambia after alikuja kufight lakini umempiga alafu useme nilikupiga, anakuambia siende upigane na wanaume wenzako sababu msichana so there was no need.
But anyway, in this case we were class 7. Competition kama kawa. It was very strong.
Sony pia bado.
Yeah, Sony class 7.
Yeah, in class 7.
Yeah, we get class 8. So
in class 7, North was always the leading stream. I'm proud to say that.
Class 8.
Class 8.
So ukukatiwa in class 7 uingie.
No, nikatiwa.
Na ukaingia box.
Nikatiwa, nani aingie box? Remember, by then I was equally very resistant to this idea of having a boyfriend. So I didn't.
Who you aingie box?
Sasa si uko na feelings kwani
class 8 okay.
By then actually I was
hata niko schoolmates so anaweza kuwa anajua sana.
I know a lot in class 8 so but in class 7 no. Class 7 in as much as I was this lady was I would not say I was outgoing. I'm always this person. I hate this interaction with people. At the same time, I don't really like getting close to people. Don't niliingia nikachaguliwa. By then alikuwa anaitwa monitor. Nikachaguliwa class 7 class monitor, and I remember my assistant alikuwa anaitwa Vichekesho. We were rivals also. And you know, by then unapata watu wanakutumia letters. By then in class 5 tulishakuwa
Majali wanawatumia malaya.
Me personally, actually I received a lot of letters in class 7, love letters. And then on receiving these letters, since you being rivals with this lady, angekuwa nakuja kwa loka yangu na kota hizi mabarua wanasoma mbele ya class mzima. Sasa hizo mimi I'm not even in class. So they come back, people are giving you the strange stares and what is going on? Kidogo class teacher na kuita, and as we had alikuwa anaitwa Mr. Wauda. Mr. Wauda knew how to slap people. The first thing he does before you can even explain yourself, I'm like, wow. What is going on?
Ujui ile someone mbele ya umati.
Sikuwa najua. So ananiambia Bosco, as young as you can be receiving love letters as early as now. I'm like, what do you mean by love letters? Does it matter? I'm like, hizi hata sijaona. And then finally these boys are being called and I'm like, I've never even interacted with these boys. What do you mean by love letters?
They're just, they just maybe admiring you and they can't really. At class 7 mtu ange approach them.
Hiyo ndio love language sasa. Manze
well, we had some in Sony primary we had bold people. Bold people, they would approach you and wambia mimi nakupenda, you know, like what is kupendwa, you know. By then you are so naive, you don't even know what is this kupendwa is. And then this continued up to, I remember the time I really nililipuka kabisa. Tulikuwa matiki walipenda kukuja, it was that time mama seketamu.
Class 7?
Yeah, in class 7 too bado. And then you know class 8 tulikuwa tunakwanga na TPs.
Yes,
only class 7 from class 7 kirudi chini. So I remember kuna this boy, I still remember his name, alikuwa anaitwa Charles. So Charles aliandika barua.
Alikuandikia?
Aliniandikia.
Charles ni TP?
No, Charles was a student in class 7. No.
Charles was good. Shout out Charles.
So
shout out manze. Akukatia alikuwa.
No, aliandika barua.
Aziti.
No, ilipata alikuwa anapeana hints. Up to a point penye, you know, for me I interacted more with boys compared to girls. And then girls used to see me as a threat also, because you're like, a lot of boys are falling around, you know, like, yo, it's not my fault people are coming around me this way. So nikaletewa barua, nilienda break, mimi sikuwa na barua ikatolewa kwa loka tena tu bado. Ikasoma mbele ya class, wakapeleka Mr. Wauda. Now coming back, Mr. Wauda na slap, nikashika mkono, nikamwambia mwalimu leo hizi nipiga. You know, by then I was also this person mwenye uko kichwa ngumu chini ya maji pia. And they're like, you know, they're like, and then we had Mr. Nyakila. Mr. Nyakila used to abuse people. This used to abuse people.
I remember.
So he's there, and you know, with the way he would shout, and you know, with the being my mother is the leader, and they know my mother, and they're like, you know, we can't tell your mother, like, tell her. But it was the big deal. So he's already in a pick, like, so I don't say my name, you know. But then,
class 7.
Yeah. Going back, I literally had to beat this girl up. Nilimpiga. Kupiga, then the TV. I used to be I would say a war girl in primary. Yeah? So TV akakuja katu separatisha, and
so mko to class fighting?
In class fighting.
You're the monitor.
I'm the monitor. Fighting
So
is
she's
the fellow
also
monitor.
a monitor.
So
yeah, that's a good.
So we are there, and tunaseparatiwa, and then this teacher comes, and Mr. Oda still wants to beat people up. Mimi utanipiga leo. Then tunapeleka kwa Mrs. Saluma. I remember she used to be one of the GCs, members of GCs, guidance and counseling in school. You know, the first thing, they blame you first before asking you what's really going on. And then I'm like, you know, I won't listen to this nonsense anymore. And I walk away, and they're like, you mean you can walk away? I'm like, you can tell my mom if you like. And I go back to class. Actually, since then, I remember I never had those scandals. So going to class 8 ningine, now you know, primary relationships, now being me the tomboy, you're like, you still don't really care, but ikandanga hivyo, it doesn't mean you don't get pursuers who are after you. And let me know, class 8 we had scandals. Our year we had scandals, but then
za mapenzi.
Wacha tu. Kwanza hapo that time when we were heading towards KCPE, wow, it was where
ulipata kwa scandal gani ya mapenzi?
Barua tu tukapata na Mr. Nyakila. And then, you know, as you used to with this team, I think hata yeye alikuwa kwa hiyo Randy. This guy.
So uliandikiwa this time sasa?
No, niliandikiwa. Mimi najua wapi courage ya kuandika barua class 8. Bado sina. So I remember dia alikuwa included. Maybe he doesn't recall that, but tuliitwa, he had a friend. This guy alikuwa anaishi hapa Nairobi.
This dark guy.
Yeah,
that guy.
Was it a dark guy really, not dark per se? Yule hata siwezi sema ni nani. Nimesahau jina lake. Alikuwa anaitwa Elieza or something. Yeah, jina kuanza na EL hapo. So yeye pia scandal ikatokea, tuko rada moja, and then Nyakila is like, no, we can suspend you from school. I'm like, do it. You know, kwanza kile lakini nilisema kwa mdomo, but that one came to pass. Now going to high school, Kadika girls, from 1 to form 4. Immediately I go to school, you still meet different people, but you are like, this is not as exposed as I was before. You are like, this was somehow, because you're also proud as a do and all that, you are like, this was still somehow beneath me kidogo, sorry to say so. But then naingia shule, when naingia nishakuwa celeb in school, which was very funny.
Nini kuna kitu tu?
Actually, I didn't really do anything. Nile nimeingia shule, and then the likes of Akina Velma Polycarp are already in Kadika girls, and you know, they know you, and since being from once, everybody wants to identify, najua nani, huyu ni homie, huyu ni nini. So actually I had a lot of homies in high school by that year. That is in 2014. We had a lot of homies. So kila mtu anataka identify na mtu. So nakuja kutafutwa class, and then I become an environment prefect, I remember. Campaigned by form 4s by then. People are even surprised. Within a week, I'm already popular. Actually, it was less than a week. I was popular in the whole school. I didn't really know. But then I was also very notorious.
Population, yeah?
By then,
2K.
Actually, tulifika 25 plus.
Yeah.
Then, yeah.
Hapo you're really.
I was popular. So I'm like
2500, yeah. Then there must be something you did.
Actually, didn't do anything. Yeah, it was only the homie thing. So I go to school, and then being a teenager and adolescent, I was rebellious. punishment every month, every week uko na punishment uko pa. No, na wewe ni prefects.
Oh.
So I'm like, but then it didn't really hit me, and I'm like, I'm just living my life as a person. So our late deputy principal at one I told Madam Mom Fagas, she was a lawyer. So Madam Mom, she was very strict. Finally, mimi nilishinda huyu mama. Finally.
Ulimshinda kinini?
Me being notorious as I was.
We are strict enough. We hujapatana na watu.
And then if you hear, she's a legend in our school anyways. Yeah, so from 1 past, from 2 past. Actually at Form 2 I remember me being in a team of people who planned strike in school.
Uli plan?
I was among the team.
No, ulikuwa na plan
mastermind.
Ladies strike.
Yes. It did happen. I remember at that point.
You probably the time hapo na wendo plan. Na hao mama zetu wako
wanasikia master.
Wanasikia. No, I used to act behind the scenes. Awendi penye unaonekana. It was only one time ndio nilionekana, but
yeah, but we club is tiny but smart too.
So it went.
Nini ili sparky.
Yeah, because if you wanted to strike, you had to.
Kulikuwa na teacher strike. And then us, lazima opening day lazima utafungua shule, ukatae ukubali. So for us you had to go to school. So tukafungua shule. So tukafungua, by the time tunafungua ndio unapata the teacher strike ndio ina trend news kabisa. In the streets and all that. Paka tunasikia venye wamechapa watoto shule, so we are like in school and we are like tutaka shule kwa, and then unakumbuka food umeacha home and then like and then saa hizo unakula mboga nyingine mbaya, you're like we can't do this. So it started as a joke. I don't know, ilikuwa one of the Form 3, so we used to be a Form 3 by then. Form 3 and actually I was in Form 2, but now Form 3 gives us this idea na tulikuwa domi yetu, and then like ni wase tutakaa tu shule hivi na watu wa kuomba na hata watu hawajafungua shule si wote, and somebody is like tutadu bana si to plan strike tuchome shule. By then schools were being battles at a high rate. So like tukitaka kuchoma shule, actually hiyo kuchoma shule I also said it as a part of, you know, the heat of the moment when you want to know
in a group
and now you're shule, and then somebody is like enyewe Bosco has a good idea, and I'm like
hiyo idea yako nishachukuliwa sasa, hiyo sasa.
And as I said, situchoma shule, twende home venye hii shule, by then tulisikia shule gani ilichoma shule, I don't recall very well. Paka tukasikia tipe hilo walipiga nini?
Inakuja tu. Ni bado mko hapa. Na mplano wameshachoma.
Wacha tu mpaka tukasikia Behilo walichapa walimu na the watchman and the out of school. If Behilo can do it, why not us? And then, you know, now those are the Form 3s wanajua what is really going on. And
you're a student and you
and according to how I said this tuchome shule, now I'm being taken as one of the leaders hapa. You have to give ideas paka tuna watu waka, by the time watu wanatoa pesa ya kununua petrol, maybe I was not even aware. So mpaka so that day watu waka meet hapo karibu na choo usiku for a meeting. And then my dad met ananiamsha. It's not funny. My dad ananiamsha.
Like is crazy. No, it's funny. But say it's very funny. I mean,
actually it is. And
imagine to high school of like amekaa karibu na cheza au kwa na meeting.
So my buddy wakes me up. Bosco watu wako meeting. I'm like, what do you mean meeting gani? Unasahau aje? Si wewe ulikuwa one of the masterminds. Ebu nipeleka okay start twende. Kwenda karibu na dom fulani hapo karibu na fence, watu wamekamati kiko hapo wanangoja watchman alete petrol na lunchbox.
Yani deal na
include watch sasa.
Si watch alikuwa anataka do. Na hapa watu wako do. And then by then watu walikuwa wamefungwa shule, walikuwa wanatoka Nairobi wengi wao. Nairobi na Mombasa. And then you know and Kisumu, and then people who are around the when walikuwa naishi around, si tulikuwa tulesa na wenye tulifungwa shule. So you can imagine when kichwa watu wa Nairobi na kimbianga. And they're like acha tu. Acha tu. And they also want to fit into the system. Yeah, and they're like why not? So maybe hapo meeting kuna baridi nyingine kanishika nikasema no, siendi pale, acha niingie mimi nirudi kula. Kumbe we've already been spotted. The next day unasikia watu wanaitwa pole. No, tukatolewa kwenda home.
Mbona hii kitu haiko Ivana ni wote alishaendea petrol, what happened?
Actually he came with the petrol. So ile harakati ya kupitisha the gallon, mtu akashout, "Madam, wanakuja." Everybody dispersed. By bad luck, we also had spice within us.
Hiyo plan yenu haikuivana.
Haikuivana by the way.
Boys inaivanaga vizuri.
It didn't go through. So when we come back after, when we came back, hapo majina zilishakuwa noted down. So we come back home, tukarelease ujamu. The rumor is already there with the teachers that want to burn down the school. So they had to release us. We went home. Now coming back after that strike. Watu wanaitwa class 1. Sasa mimi yule bedi wangu akanitetea akasema, Bosco alikuwa amenipeleka choo. So mimi nikahepa hiyo ngori. So I did go for suspension.
You're actually the one who should have gone for suspension. You went to the whole idea. You know, how to go to a rally for your idea.
So for me it was a good thing I didn't go for that suspension, which was a stroke of luck for me. Because I imagine the kind of woman I am at home as a mother, like, even my mama taniua. So I tukakaa shule, term 2 term 3 kaisha. Now form 3 I was very lucky. But I still could not escape scandals in school.
How lucky were you that you couldn't even escape scandals?
I remember I was popular since form 1. Yeah, and then people know you. And then you have a lot of friends at the same time. And